Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from anthonymorganti.com, and this is episode 214 of Photo Critiques. And this is the last episode. It took me a long time to get caught up. I'm finally caught up, but it's the last one. I really do appreciate everyone who has watched all these critique videos and everyone that shared your images with me and allowed me to critique your work. I really do appreciate it. Now, as I mentioned, this is episode 214, and in this episode, I'm pleased to critique the work of Luke Wood. Luke sent me in, I think, around 12 images or so, and he sent me some really nice ones. This first one's a real nice shot. Look at the people down here. It kind of gives you an idea of the scale. Remember I mentioned, to get people in the shot. And it does, if it just doesn't add interest, at least it gives some visual idea of scale. And look how small the people are. So you could see how vast this is and how big it really is. So it's a really nice composition. I like it. I like that the sun's just coming in. A couple things. We have some sensor spots right here. We got to get rid of those. So remember to always take your time and get rid of the sensor spots. It's real easy to do in Lightroom. It's even easier to do in Photoshop. So get rid of the sensor spots. Also, make sure that your monitor is calibrated when you do processing at all. If your monitor is not calibrated, when someone views it on a different monitor, it's not going to look right. It's going to look different. Or worse yet, if you print it, your prints are not going to look right. They're going to either be too dark, too light, the colors are going to be off. You just really got to calibrate your monitor. And why I bring it up here, it just seems like these hills here are just a touch dark, just a little bit. So I would just bring them up just a little bit so you get just a little more detail in there. So there's before, there's after, before, after. Now I might have brought it up just a little bit too much, but that's why I said it was just slight. And it is down to personal taste too, but I would try to not have too many areas of your image that are real dark, because it just doesn't print as well. When you do a print, it doesn't look as good. Now in this case, this wasn't really too dark. It was just slightly dark. I mean, very slightly dark. Let me see, as I try to be the perfectionist. Yeah, something a little more like that, I think, and you just get a little more detail in here. This is a really nice shot. Excellent focus, as you can see, really well done. It was 1/60th of a second at f/4, very limited depth of field, but Luke did a great job with this. Something you don't often see, kind of a white vignette around it, but it looks real nice in this shot, and it's really well done. You could picture this being on a greeting card, a Mother's Day card, stuff like that. Very well done. This is an interesting shot. Obviously, this is the subject right here. And what Luke did, as you can see, everyone else is kind of darker and his face is lighter. And that's a good way to to treat an image where you want people to look. We tend to look at the lightest part of an image when we look at the image. So that's why I often say when I see landscapes and there's very bright stuff like on the edges or the corners, you want to avoid that. You want people to look towards the middle. So Luke did a great job here with not a landscape, it's actually a portrait of people. And a choir, obviously everyone's singing, and this guy is the subject and his face is lighter than everyone else's, so that's where we're looking. So it's a really, really nice job and a nice way to use a photographic effect from your toolbox, to influence the way we look at the shot. I often mention that there's that left brain, right brain type of thing, which I guess scientists have disproved. They said it's not really true. But for years we were taught that the left brain was for science and math, calculations and planning, and the right side was art and dreaming and stuff like that. And I say I'd like you guys to live in your right side of your brain, so you're very creative and you're always dreaming up a new way to compose a shot and creative things. But you reach over now and then into that left side of your brain to pull out a tool, a technical tool, to do something that is creative. And in this case, that's what I believe Luke did. He's living in the right side of his brain, taking a creative shot. But he used a tool from his left side of his brain to really make it visually appealing. This is a really nice shot. Again, I don't think this shot would have been near as strong if these two women were not in the shot. And I seem to be, if you guys think I harp on it a lot about having people in your shot, because I do harp on it a lot, is because I think that's what is failing a lot of really potentially great landscape photographers, is they think the landscape is just the landscape and it shouldn't have people in it. Trust me, if you want to sell your work someday, it doesn't matter if you're just selling to travel or you're selling it to like, you know, anything, for even fine art. The people add interest to the shot. So you could have people in the shot, and you don't need them to be recognizable like this. As you can see, Luke, we don't know who these women are, but it's a nice shot, and it's a great effect to have them there. It just adds some interest to the shot, and it kind of, you could think up a story that that this thing is going on here. So I really do like the image. It's fascinating that it's at f5.6, but it does have good depth of field and nice focus throughout. Personally, I would have hopefully been more like f8 or so, but f5.6 at 29 millimeters worked out real well. It's a creative way to take a portrait. You can see the man and woman are just peeking through the roots of the tree. So it's a really nice creative shot. Very well done. This shot, is nice. I like the bird in the shot. I think that adds to it too. And we have a boat. And a lot of times I see shots like this in the critiques and there's nothing in it. It's just like this, leading line here. And we have water and we have buildings. But just having some boats in the water and the bird add a lot to the shot. And so it's really kind of a mundane scene. The sky isn't really very interesting. So this is a scene that probably could be more interesting if there were some interesting clouds, something like that, some ominous clouds. If the boats weren't like long ways, if they were, I should say short ways, like they were more going this way like this one is, but more prominent over here. Something like that. So it's a scene if you can go back to, because this is a nice shot, but I think it could be even a better shot if you had different weather conditions and different things going on the water. It's a nice shot too. This is kind of that I mentioned a dusk dark shot. That's what I like to call it. It's not quite nighttime yet, but it's going to be nighttime within the hour. And this is a 30-second exposure at f22. Now I'm sure Luke used f22 to get that 30 seconds. ISO 100, 40 millimeters. In the 30-second exposure, obviously he wanted that to make this water real smooth like this. So it's really nicely done. Typically you don't want to use the f22 that much because I mentioned you never want to stop your lenses down all the way, because there's an effect called diffraction. When the light travels through the lens and it goes through the small diaphragm that the aperture is at f22, it actually distorts a little, so you don't get as crisp a shot and clear a shot as you could. In most lenses, they're at their sharpest 2 to 4 stops up from wide open. So in this case, at this f2.8 lens, it probably would have been around f8 off the top of my head. So around f8 would have been the most clear, well focused, crisp shot. Now it's not going to give you the most depth of field, but it's going to be the most clear and crisply focused shot. So I would have preferred to shoot this at f of 8, and of course you won't get that 30 seconds, so you need a neutral density filter, often called an ND filter. And you put that on and all it does is let less light through, and they come in various densities, and you would get one that could be 1 stop, 2 stops, 3 stops. They sell 10 stops. So you put one of those on and then you'll get the same effect, and I think you would probably get a little crisper, clear picture. Again, this is a great scene if you could come back when there's different weather conditions and you could get a better, more interesting sky. It's an interesting shot. I like the color. I like the, just the water, the way the water is, and it's a nice shot. This shot is a little busy. First of all, it's just really a busy shot, and the focus isn't as good on this one. As I mentioned many times on the critiques, that when you're focusing on anything with eyes, it doesn't matter if it's a person or an insect. You want to focus on the eyes, and you can see the eyes are a little soft here. So Really, I know the bees moving around. Also, the processing. There's a lot of noise in the picture. I don't know if you could see right here. There's a lot of noise, and there's kind of this weird effect going around the flowers here. So it's kind of an odd shot. A lot of noise. It's not really focused too well. It's kind of a busy scene. This is an interesting shot. Overcast day. Nice colors out here. So it's kind of everything subdued because it's so overcast. This is a scene though you really got to work. It's not really balanced. There's like part of a boat over here. There's this one here. There's stuff in the water here, but nothing's really a strong subject. We're kind of our eyes are bouncing around, looking at various things, seeing everything, but not really locking on anything. So we need something that's more of a prominent subject here. If you can't find a prominent subject, then you want to really show some type of, bright color, contrasting colors. I mentioned before, things that are opposite each other, colors that are opposite each other on a traditional color wheel. So you have just like real quick, you would have yellow opposite purple, orange opposite blue, red opposite green, stuff like that. So you want show contrasting colors like that, or you want to show contrasting textures. So you want something that's really hard and strong against something really soft and fluffy, stuff like that. If you look for these in the scene to try to work out, look for geometric shapes, things like that. If you do that if you can't find a real strong subject in the scene to photograph. It's a nice shot. Very nice portrait. Very well done. I think it's really well done. I like that you have the fisherman off to the right and the pole is going out, towards the bigger part of the frame. It's a really nice composition. It's a nice shot. The seagull, it looks like you cropped it. It's because it's kind of an odd crop. Yeah, it's 3000 by 3000, so you cropped. It doesn't have a lot of definition, as you could see in the eye, and the feathers. I've done too many critiques. The feathers are kind of all like a blur, so there's not a lot of definition. So I think your focus was probably all right, but I think you cropped it down, so there's not a lot of definition. This is a beautiful shot. This is really, really well done. Now this is soft focus, but that's on purpose. And we have this light vignette going around, which is perfect for a child that's like under 3. Really well done. Really nice shot. Enhance the eyes, but not too much, so it doesn't look like it's too fake. So this is a beautiful shot, Luke. Very well done. I think that's the last one. Yep, that's it. Luke, thank you very much for sharing your work with us, and thank you for being the last critique I'll ever do, I think. So I appreciate it. I'd like to again thank everyone that has watched these critiques. I know a lot of you have watched all of them, so that's really impressive. Thank you very much. I'm going to be doing a mentoring program. I've teased about it here and there. I'll be doing the mentoring program. I'm going to have that launched probably in a couple, 3 days, if that makes any sense. That's the way people talk around here. They say couple, 3 days. So probably around the weekend. I'll be announcing that. I'll have all the details about that. And hopefully some of you could take part in that, and I'll mentor you personally, and hopefully help you become a better photographer. So that's it for the critiques. Thanks again. I'll be doing some videos now. I'll be going back to doing my Lightroom, Photoshop, and Elements videos, and I'll be doing the weather's starting to get better here, so I'll be outside showing some demos on how to do different types of shots and simple things too, beginners things, how to hold your camera and things like that. So I'll be doing lots more variety of videos. So that's it for now, guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.